On today's Minute of the Apes, okay, it's like Tuesday, and now we don't know what to do for an intro. We hugged last time. We supposed to lick
Do we have to
each
make
other.
out now?
I know. I don't know.
Take your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty ape!
The divine bomb.
The only good human is a dead human! Where there is fire, there is smoke.
The minute of the apes. The minute of the apes. The minute of the apes. The minute of the apes.
Hello and welcome to Minute of the Apes, the daily podcast where we break down every minute of the Planet of the Apes movies, 1 minute at a time. It's Tuesday. It is day 2 of the reconvening around the. Is this the oval table? This isn't truly a round.
The oblong table?
Yeah, it's not a round table, but here we are again, sitting face to face.
It's not Zeus. It's not Zeus North. It's Zeus adjacent.
Yeah, I think that's it.
That is what you called it before, and
You're Zeus North.
Right.
Yeah, you're Zeus,
Zeus.
and we're Zeus adjacent.
So, do we eventually get to go back to Zeus and record?
Sure, at some point, whenever you guys want to.
I haven't been. That's another thing.
You haven't seen the remodel of the store
I
either.
have not
No.
seen your store, and I don't know how long, other than pictures and watching and following things that you do. It's just
We did a remodel.
I can't wait to see that.
It's gorgeous.
Well, this is where usually I save it for in between, but we'll plug it now. Tell us about Zeus Comics.
Well, I have a comic book store called Zeus Comics in Dallas, Texas. And we sell comics and toys and manga and all sorts of crazy things. And that's part of the pop culture phenom is also one of the reasons why I love this series of movies, and we get to talk about them.
Amen. And it's ZeusComics.com.
Correct.
And
Yes.
you can find everything there. You'll ship it wherever. You have no rules against shipping out of state, right?
We ship all over. Yeah.
Do you have a lot of people out of state?
We do. So I'd say right now our web orders are probably in the range of like 5 to 10 new ones a day, which is crazy. It's grown since the pandemic because people
Really?
are trying to find stuff. Yeah, and I think my husband's done a great job of giving us a really good web presence as well.
Well, I say it all the time. If you live in the Dallas area, any of the surrounding areas, take the time to get over to Zeus. It is by far my favorite comic book store. And it's not just because you're my friend. I think it's freaking fantastic, and you owe it to yourself to get your butts in there and go see our friend Richard.
Well, thank you. I actually got a really, really nice review on Square when you do Square will allow people to do feedback.
Oh, really?
Yep. And let's see, what was mine yesterday? Now, keep in mind, yesterday I was the only person working.
Okay.
And because my Saturday employee called out and I couldn't run. I've got 6 part-time employees right now, guys. Can you believe that? So this was the review yesterday. Guy that helped is awesome.
Well,
Thank you very much. Guy that helped is awesome. That is forever. That's going to go on my gravestone. Guy that helped is awesome.
I was about to say, I'm not going to call you Richard anymore. You're just got to help.
Guy that helped is awesome.
You know, you'll take that more than the guy that helped suck.
Right. Yeah.
Well, again, get out there. I love it because I love when you walk in somewhere that is just saturated with pop culture. And I think that's the cool thing for me, because I may not be as big of a comic book nerd as you guys are, but I love movies and I love all those things. So when you go in there, it's not just comic books. You can find all kinds of things like that. So please go see our friend Richard. And that is the end of the infomercial.
Yes, sorry, I know.
We'll move on. Sean, tell us what's going on
It's not even comic book day.
with
All right.
minute 42.
We're going to start minute 42 with Culp saying to assemble workable equipment, and ends with Caesar saying although may very soon be in the past.
All right, let's take a listen. Minute 42, Battle for the Planet of the Apes.
Assemble workable equipment and follow them to their camp.
Yes, Governor Cope.
Why, Governor? So that we can exterminate them.
Stop! It's Caesar! What a welcome. We should have stayed in the
To
city.
visit the city is forbidden.
I know. I forbade it.
Then why?
Aldo, if a king forbids his subjects to wear a crown, that doesn't mean he can't wear one himself. Caesar is Caesar. He went to the city for a reason.
What reason?
I went looking for my past, but I found our future.
Explain.
You wouldn't understand.
Otto will make the future. With this.
Well then, Aldo may very soon be in the past.
As of Minute 42, we have a village worth of apes and humans, plus a ghost city's worth of radioactive people.
Now, you guys did catch the editor putting in somebody else's
That throwaway
words.
line.
Yeah, so the line is in the script.
It is.
The line is in the script, and it's supposed to be spoken by McDonald.
Let's say what line that is.
Okay, so actually, let me pull back up. Yeah, you hear that when the gorillas kind of descend upon Aldo, or when the gorillas descend upon Caesar and McDonald and Virgil, you hear stop at Caesar. McDonald is supposed to say, "What a welcome! We should have stayed in the city." And Aldo jumps in as to visit the city is forbidden. And we don't see McDonald say that line,
Right.
but we hear somebody's odd, regular voice pop in and say, we should have stayed in the city.
So that's funny to me that they do that, because if there's one complaint I have about this entire minute is how fast everything is assembled. And from the point of, and what's Culp's line at the end about the demise, we can bring them, he wants to go attack them so that they don't attack them back.
Oh,
or
so
something.
we were going to exterminate them because
Yes.
he loves the
So
word
that-
exterminate.
so that we can exterminate them.
He's exterminate like 3 times in like 20 seconds.
That moment is a king laying down the law of what they want to do. That should have resonated for about 3 to 5 seconds, and it would have helped if we'd had a wide shot that took us back to them,
Right.
so that it lingers in our mind. But they jump so quickly, and it's a moderate wide shot when we see them and the gorillas come out. You don't have time to process that. You don't get that when you build in those 5 seconds, right? You don't have you have a moment to let that hit in your mind, and now you have time to think of despising Culp or being afraid of him. I think that when they get into this minute too, with that line you're talking about, it is so ham-fistedly edited where lines, it's like they're on top of each other. Virgil comes back and it's almost like he should even pause a minute. It's very
there is
cramped.
some dialogue that is supposed to happen leading up to that particular
okay.
moment, some type of like a scuffle, if you will, between them as they're trying to kind of get free and say, "Hey, we're Caesar."
Right.
There is a little bit of dialogue back and forth between that happens, but however they decided to cut it, they couldn't do McDonald doing the line. They had to have somebody else come in and just throw that line in
Right.
that doesn't attach to Virgil or Caesar or to McDonald. It
Right.
just sounds like some random dude that's just talking.
And also, it's very quippy, like a throwaway, like funny line, like something Chandler would say in Friends. Oh, we should have stayed in the city because we were being shot at.
Could you be any more rude?
Yeah, instead of 3 gorillas jumped out and grabbed one person. Yeah. Oh, the city is so much better than this. I mean, come on.
Well,
you're being assaulted
if he's
there.
going to say that, show me his face while he says it. It almost should be something that he, especially with you think of how volatile Aldo is, he should be almost saying it to himself.
Yeah.
Kind of, "Oh, should have stayed in the city."
With I was going to jump back to the Mendez and Culp moment. I do like the shot of Mendez looking up and pleading. He's kind of just off center to the things he's looking up at Culp when he says, "Why, Governor?" And it's just a really nice kind of pleading moment. So for Culp to be kind of not as commanding in that line so that we can exterminate them. I mean, I like the way the emphasis he puts on the words, saying, those who can eliminate them before they eliminate us is basically what the emphasis on them is. But to your point, yeah, it's not very commanding like it should be. It's commanding for this actor. How about that?
Yeah.
But we've complained about Culp being not quite so strong, and it's really comes through on that particular line. I think it's strong enough, but it's not commanding.
Well, and I think that some of the fault of that belongs to the producer, director, editor, whoever made this decision. When you look at this, so he says this, and he's looking back at Mendez at approximately the 13-second mark. It then cuts immediately to the shot of rocks on one side, trees around, and not just our party emerging from behind the rock. Hi, JJ. But they're already out of it. So they are already cutting you can see the 3 of their shapes already present. We have no time to go with that, and that's what I'm kind of talking. And give me something. Allow me.
I didn't even think about this. That's supposed to be technically 3 days later.
Yeah.
Because they've got a 3-day journey heading back, and so
there's
goes
a lot
from,
of that too though, in this. If you build in these pauses, if you build those kind of things, it's two things. It allows for more separation, and it allows us to let those moments resonate.
So after Culp says so that we can exterminate them, we're supposed to go to exterior guard post, close shot Aldo, and it being dawn. Aldo is outlined against a reddening sky. Camera pulls back to reveal him in the guard post standing on the ridge above the road between the modern city and Ape City. He stands peering out into the desert. Other guerrillas sit at a small, almost burned out fire. Standing around talking and stiffens and gestures quietly with his hand. Aldo goes quiet. Other guerrillas move to join Aldo, look out into the desert. Camera pans deserted, sparsely vegetation terrain. We see faintly the figures of Caesar, Virgil, McDonald approaching. Aldo goes, look, there. They're coming towards the guard post suddenly, and the guerrillas fling themselves on the trio from above. Hey, wait, what? Says Virgil. As they roll on the rocks, we see the flash of a drawn sword. Caesar says, stop, it's us, it's Caesar. Aldo's voice, stop. And then that's when McDonald is supposed to say, what a welcome, we should have stayed in the city. So one of the reasons we didn't get this is probably the same reason we didn't get to see the beginning of the film where we're supposed to see guerrillas at a guard post. We never saw that. They didn't build it. They didn't have it. They didn't draw that line between their city and the burned out city.
Yeah, because I was going to say, what was Aldo's plan if they came back to the village a different direction? He wouldn't be there to jump out and threaten them all.
But we don't see a guard post. They're just walking through the woods when all of a sudden a band of guerrillas just kind of jump on three people.
Yeah.
Well, and if they shot this, if they shot it, why isn't that here? Because what would have been interesting is the juxtaposition of Culp saying that extermination thing and going to the single most volatile member of the ape community. Because then we actually see the forces, and it kind of tells us then, we know this is not going to go well. And instead, you circumvent that. Oh God, that just frustrates me when you look at all that could have been in this moment had they brought that in, and we should see it. And it would help with Sean's point of that this is supposed to be a 3-day journey, even just to let us feel like we're getting other information.
So he says, we should have stayed in the city. That random voice says we should have stayed in the city. You don't know who's coming from. Definitely doesn't sound like the McDonald actor at all. And then we have kind of Aldo coming back to visit the city is forbidden. And then Caesar saying, I know I forbade it. So there's something here with the use of the forbidden city that I'm bothered by. And I need to go back and look at the original pages. But wasn't there a moment where McDonald is trying to convince Caesar to go into the forbidden city, and there seems to be some type of discovery that we didn't know this city existed? Everybody seems to be a little bit gray on the fact that the city is there, and McDonald's the one convincing them that, hey, we need to go into the city. I would have liked the setup of the city happening at the beginning or earlier in the film, and that's why that guard post between the two eras would make sense. We're really, as an audience, we know the forbidden city the city exists now because of Caesar's journey into it. I didn't know it was forbidden. At least I don't think I didn't realize it was a forbidden place to go.
Yeah, I don't think they were talking about it being forbidden.
Right. Now, we know in the first movie, right, or which takes place 2,000 years in the future, that it was a forbidden place to go.
Right.
Yeah.
This is just kind of thrown in there that it's a forbidden city to me, in my mind.
Also, a king says nobody else can wear a crown, but a king can wear a crown. So you're saying the king is above the law. So
I had that same kind of thing. Is
that going to lead to something at the very end where he's going to kill an ape because ape may not kill ape, and I made that rule, but I get to kill an ape because I'm a fucking king.
Well, I think the parallel being drawn in the script now is that Caesar is a king, and we'd gotten the sense that he's in some type of role of leadership. We'd gotten some sense that Virgil reveres him.
Aldo hates him.
Aldo hates him. He seems to be the one, writing their city rules and laws and things like that.
Humans
and now
are pretty
Virgil's actually
subservient
making the parallel that he is the king of this.
But at the same time, if he's the king, why isn't Aldo's
immediately being pretty bossy? Yeah,
taken into custody for drawing a weapon on the king.
Saying explain. I don't have to explain anything to you. I'm the king.
Go lock him up. Put him away.
Does a king explain to its peasants what he wants? No.
He could have, Caesar